They were young and we were young, and we were just, the creativity just flowed out of us. Because when you're a kid, the creativity is there for some reason. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here. The creativity just comes out. When we get older, we get distracted by things, and we try to be creative, and it's work. But when we're a kid, it just comes out of us. We can't help it. We get in trouble for being creative. But I got a chance to be creative still. And it was an awesome experience. So awesome that when I was working at one of my first jobs, which was in a call center, kind of, everyone's got to work. They got to start somewhere, right? Call center of over 1,000 employees. I was there. I talk on the phones. I would stand up. I'd stand up and talk on the phones with a headset. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but just be excited about life. Okay, I wouldn't sit down in my cubicle. I needed to stand up. I needed to stand out. Even at the young age. I didn't realize I was doing it yet, but I was standing out already. And it's something that came natural to me. And that's something that will become natural for you if it isn't already. And if it is, we're going to learn how to harness that. But I was there in that call center, and I was writing a short film. And I would talk to everyone around me about it. And I got them excited. When there was dead volume called, we would all gather around me, and we would talk about the film. We would talk about what we're going to do. Acting experiences, different parts that people could play. And I got them so excited, so rallied up. I held screen tests at my house. I wrote screen tests, and we got the 20 different people doing the same screen tests, see which one fit the role perfectly. And I remember being behind the camera, filming this, being the director, directing the acting, having that experience. That was an awesome experience. Inspiring people to let go of any inhibition or fear or camera shyness or stage frightness, all of that. Let it all go. Be yourself completely. Just go in there and feel the emotions of it as opposed to the technicality of it. Feel what you're feeling. If you're selling something and you believe in your product, show that. Feel it. Don't worry about so much how your hair looks or anything like that. If you have a blemish, a pimple, no one cares. No one can even see it. Focus on what you are passionate about, and it will come across on camera, and people will see that and feel it, because emotions, they somehow just travel. They have the ability to travel and infect people. Okay, when you get excited about something, you can't help but infect people with it. It goes right through the camera and in through your screen and into you, and you feel it. And that goes with any emotion. If you're mad and you're judging and condemning and you're pointing fingers and you're chewing out, you feel those emotions too if you're on the receiving end, and if you're on the end giving it. It goes through the camera. The camera is the portal by which emotions are portrayed and felt. And it's a very, very powerful tool that we must use right now, today. If you haven't started already, we got to start today using this, because not everyone is doing it. And the people that are doing it are ahead of the game. They're much ahead of the game. And you can see that. You see any big marketer out there, they make videos. They do live shows. They get their face out there for everyone to see. And that's what you want to do too. No matter what your market is. Even if it's not internet marketing. If you're a landscaper, if you're a gardener, and you want to show people, teach people different gardening techniques, when to plant, when not to plant, types of fertilizer to use, you can do that. This is the means by which you can do that. And you will develop a following, because your passion for what you love will be transferred through this portal, through the camera. And people won't be able to help but feel that. They will say to themselves, yes, I'm going to go to Ken because I like to garden and I love the gardening tips that he gives. He does his live show. I can't wait to watch it every week. And that's just one example of something. You could be a chef. You could be a cook. You can cook. You can do live cooking shows in real time. That's what Rachel Ray does, or that's what she did, rather. She would do a half-hour show, and in that half hour, she would cook a meal that only takes a half hour, right? And she is huge. If we follow what the successful do, then we become successful, because success leaves clues, as said Tony Robbins. And we can't help but experience that as well. We experience that. And it's very important that when you do your live broadcast, that you introduce yourself, that you tell people your story. You got to tell people your background. Tell them your story, you know? Create your story. Even if your story is scatterbrained in your mind, well, I don't know what to say about myself. You do. You are an expert on yourself. You know yourself better than anyone, and you can tell your story the best, whatever your story may be. Tell it. Tell it in such a way where people will never forget it. They will think to themselves, that story is now associated with that person. Because when you tell stories, people listen. They are captivated. It's just the way it works. We as humans listen to stories. It's like we become kids again, as I was mentioning earlier. Our imaginations are here, and they're being stimulated. We can picture in our minds what is going on when we tell a story. If we have free information that we want to give to our viewers, our customers, give it in story form. And I bet you that they will remember it more than if you just go through it step by step, point form. It's just the way it works. Storytelling. We've got to tell stories. We've got to tell about ourselves. That's the point of this call. This is one of many. This is just one point. The skeleton of a broadcast, okay? The introduction is the actual skeleton itself. We haven't put meat on the skeleton yet, because this is basic. These are basics here. Tell your story. If you haven't already, sign up to Ustream.tv. It's very easy. It takes a couple minutes. Just sign into it if you haven't already. If you have signed in, or signed up for it, do a live broadcast. Do a practice live broadcast if you're not sure what to say. Write out in point form what you are going to broadcast about. And do a live broadcast. Invite your lists to see you. Talk about yourself. They know you, but they don't associate a face to you. And if they do already, if your face is places, it's all over the place, then they can now associate a personality with your name and your face. Because those three steps. You can write, you have text, people can read who you are. Now your written self is different from your camera self. Because when you write a certain thing, it's sometimes hard to kind of differentiate the inflection and what you mean. It can be misconstrued sometimes. But when you're on camera and you say things a certain way, people know. And people feel. And that is the broadcast for today. Thank you very much for joining me today on this live show. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for a couple minutes on the live show, and I'll answer them on the chat. And make sure that if you want to learn more about live video broadcasting and how to do this what I'm doing right now, okay? I have a course, and you get a free video with that, which just tells you what it's about, okay, and things that you can do with it. You just scroll down, and on your bottom right-hand side, you can click on that, you get a free video, and you'll learn about live video broadcasting. I'm Dave, the Live Video Guy, and I'll see you next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.